What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Student Built Startups podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Stone, entrepreneur and marketing analytics student at UMD. Today's guest will talk about shifting priorities, being what your client needs, and why staying true to yourself is good for business. Now, she has transformed her business to meet the changing needs of consumers during the COVID-19 pandemic, and she believes that these sort of transitions are essential for businesses to thrive. I encourage you to go check out her website, www.wildandrue.com, to find out more after the episode. Now, I am absolutely thrilled to be having the owner of Wild Rue, Lindsey Rue, on the SBS podcast today. Hey, Lindsey, I'm super happy to have you here on the SBS podcast. I'll have you start off by saying hello to everyone listening and sharing one crazy but true fact about yourself.
All right. Thanks for having me today. So my name is Lindsey Rue, and hello and welcome to everybody here today. One crazy but true fact. So kind of crazy. I have actually a hole in my heart in between the two ventricles. So it's totally fine. I was born with it. My mom has it too. The likelihood of my kids having it is like 25% or something. I don't know. It's totally fine if it's small enough. It's like if you were to like prick a needle through paper, that's how big it is. But The coolest part about it is that if you listen to my heart, you can hear the blood go through the hole. So it's like beats and then like a so anyway.
That is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like you don't come across many people with a small hole in their heart. So.
Yes, it's called a VSD, ventricular septal defect. I'm sure there'll be somebody out there listening that has it as well. But.
Yeah, well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So we can kind of jump into what we're going to talk about today. So I'll have you start off sharing a little bit about your background with the audience, such as your education, your work experience, and kind of where your entrepreneurial journey began.
Perfect. So my background, I went to the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities, and I wasn't ever like huge on school, but I was good at school. So I knew that I would go and I knew how to pass and all that, but I wasn't like a kid that was like, I love school, or I don't ever want to go to school again. My MBA is enough. Or yeah. my BA is enough, not MBA, LOL. Anyway, my BA is enough. So anyway, I went to the U of M Twin Cities, and my freshman year of school, I took a journalism class. And when I looked back, I hit the 2-year mark, and they were like, Lindsey, you have to pick a major, or you can't come to school anymore. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I didn't really like anything that much. So I was like, I kind of like journalism. So I applied for the journalism school at the U of M and luckily got in and picked strategic communication with a focus on advertising for my major. So I never thought I would do that. It's kind of strange. The U of M you can't major or minor in sign language, which is what I thought that I would do, which is like a really crazy thing for what we're going to be talking about today. But I always loved sign language, and then I was always like, well, I'll just get my BA and then I'll transfer to, honestly, the only 2 schools in the Twin Cities that have it is St. Kate's or, what is that? The St. Paul Community College. I don't know.
Yeah.
The one of the best community colleges in the United States, actually, I think.
Oh, wow.
But anywho, so then I was taking the classes for my strategic communication major, and I ended up loving it. And I was like, oh, maybe I should try this. So I reflected on my favorite classes. As you're graduating, you kind of have to be like, oh, when you're looking for jobs, it's like, what am I going to do? So I was like, okay, I kind of liked this media planning class. So I actually started, my first job was at an agency called Broadhead, and I was a media coordinator. So what that meant was I I worked with our media planners who like made an entire media plan for clients for advertising. And that would include like what magazines we're going to run in or what websites we're going to run ads on or things like that. And once that plan got approved by our client, I would like do all the behind the scenes work to make that plan come to life. Like the actual details of like communicating with websites or radio stations. Like we're going to buy 50 radio spots on your channel in these months, whatever. So that's how I started. And then they handed me like Google Analytics when I got that job. And I like fell in love with data and analytics, which is also, this does tie into what I do with Wild Rue. Don't worry. But so long story short, like I fell in love with data, and then I like fell in love with website optimization and like trying to make clients' websites work better for people. So what my role is now at Security and Financial for my full-time job is I help analyze our websites and look through like a ton of data to make them better for our clients, make them work better for, financial professionals or customers or whoever is using our sites. So that's like pretty much my professional journey so far. And now that's where I'm at, and we'll see where things go. But in terms of like my entrepreneurial journey, so I think, I have always wanted to make money, which is interesting for me because like when people look at me and stuff like that, you wouldn't be like, oh shit, hoity-toity. I don't think so, at least. I hope people don't think that.
No, I don't.
But so I was like, babysitting when I was little. I was like watching my neighbor's house for her cats and stuff, and she paid me bank. Like that's how I got my first laptop when I was like right before college. Like, just picking up little side jobs and things like that. So I would say that's like really where it began. And then I started coaching gymnastics when I was 14. You were allowed to coach gymnastics for community ed when you're 14 instead of 16. I have no clue why, but honestly, since 14, I've been working at least 2 jobs. And now I'm almost 29. So for years, I've always had multiple jobs.
Yeah. Always been trying to make money.
Get that cash.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. That's a really interesting story about how you had like a different like idea of what you were wanting to do as far as education, and then how things kind of kept opening your eyes to new and different opportunities and eventually led you towards analytics and website optimization. So that's really interesting.
It's been a trip.
Yeah.
So
far. So I know right now your business is Wild Rue. So if you want to share a little bit about that and the story behind it and kind of where you're at with that business now.
Yeah. So I got a dog when she'll be 4 in May. So we've had her for like 3.5 years. And she's a piece of work, but her name's Riley and my last name is Rue. So she's Riley Brew. And kind of funny, my maiden name is Mactimus. It's like much more difficult than Rue.
Wow.
And my husband, well, he was like my boyfriend or fiance at the time, but like he would get so mad because Banfield, every time I drop her off at the vet, they call her Riley Mactimus. It's like, her name is Riley Rue. But anyway, so my little Riley Rue, I like got her, and I, once you like open up to new things in your life, you like see new businesses. So there was like all this dog accessory stuff that I knew existed, but I never had a reason to care, right? Like whatever. So anyway, I was like, these bandanas are expensive. Like, I was like, she needs a Wild one. She needs a Vikings one. She needs like every sports team. She needs, one for every holiday. Like that's going to add up. So I just started making them for her, and I found a template on Pinterest actually. And it was a bandana that slid over the collar instead of tying. So I
Okay.
liked it better. Yeah, because she's always wearing all this stuff. Like when we're on a walk, she's got her collar, her harness, her, coat right now, her booties right on. She's little.
The full outfit.
Yeah. So like when we'd go to a brewery or something, it was just another thing to like tie around her neck.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, sounds dumb, but not really. So, anyways, I started making it for her, and then people were like, "Oh, this is really cool." And then the idea just kind of like got created, and I didn't know what I was doing and just like signed up for a craft show, like a dog crafting event at a brewery. And I did pretty well, actually. So yeah, I did that. And then, I think what I was kind of alluding to earlier is in my professional career, am using like data and analytics, like hard numbers and facts, and there's not a ton of creativity in that besides for like what graph you're going to choose to show the data. So this side of my brain I get to use now, like to be super creative and fun and do whatever kind of I want. So I've shifted a ton and all that, but anyways, that's pretty much how Wild Rue became. And it was originally, fun fact, I didn't do my research, which is a little tidbit for everyone here. I just called it Wag Swag, which I know is a cool name, but was 100% taken already. So, and shout out to Wag Swag though. She like makes really cool stuff, and she's a little business like me, and I buy stuff all the time from her too. But anyway, do your research and check out Instagram sites before you just like pick a name.
Yeah.
But I didn't know. I was doing it for more fun at that time.
So. That's a very helpful piece of advice for a lot of people. Because I tell you, the amount of time people, even myself, think of like a name and then you're like, oh my gosh, that's a perfect name. And then you like go and you like set things up, whatever, and you like get a business card or get your website or whatever, and then you look and then you see somebody else has the same as you. She's like, oh no.
Dang it.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
But I thought that was really funny. Every time a story starts with, well, I have a dog. Like, that was interesting. That's the first time that one's happened so far. So you win the number one place for the pet business.
Woohoo! Good. It is a big business or a big market, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So I know one of the things that you mentioned you wanted to talk about was shifting priorities. So why is it that shifting priorities can have such a major impact on the success of a business? Yeah,
great question. So, I think one word to like sum it all up is 2020. But so I mentioned that I started with, pet products like dog and cat or dog bandanas. That's what I started with. And then my friend has cats and she was like, no one makes cat bandanas. And I was like, well, okay, let's make cat bandanas. So I also make cat bandanas, which people don't make it. There's not a ton of people that are making cat bandanas. And I didn't know a lot about cats. So I know about dogs. I know that most dogs wear a collar. So my version of the bandana that slides over their collar would work for dogs. Well, like I said, I'm not a cat person. I'm actually quite allergic. I'm actually allergic to dogs too, which is kind of funny. Everything with fur. I can only have hypoallergenic. That's why my dog's a little doodle. But anyway, so I was like, fine, I can make a snap-on cat bandana. So I made that, and they've been a really hot seller, actually. And then I was like, well, I'm sure there's people out there that want dog snap ones too, or want the option. So I can, I made this another option for the snap-on style. So my products right now are the dog and cat slide-on collar bandanas and dog and cat snap-ons. So that was cool, whatever, I did like a year of that. And then 2020 happened, and you know, they were like, everyone in the world needs to wear a mask.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, I don't have a mask. And I was like, well, I kind of don't want to do this, actually, is how it started. I was like, I'll make myself a mask. We'll see if I like it. I don't know if it, like, how long this is going to last for. Like, should I really try to figure this out? So, as we know, it lasted a really long, still is lasting. So I was like, okay, I'll make these masks. And it was a huge success. So, something about my business that's special to me is that most of my stuff is custom. So when we'll kind of see how this changes as I get a little bigger and what I can put on my website, because I don't know how customized I'll be able to make my website. But something that people love is that they can come, or they can message me, and I send them pictures of fabric that I have. Like I have thousands of fabrics, and then they can pick out the masks that they want. So people are super excited because they're like, I want a mask with hot dogs on it. And I'm like, oh, I got that. Or I want florals or whatever. Or this past Christmas and holiday season, it was super popular. People bought a ton of masks as presents because I had specific florals or patterns or whatever they wanted to buy for somebody. So anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you need to know, I watch a lot of Shark Tank, and they're like, your product needs to be wanted. It's like, I'll always have this base business of dog and cat bandanas and things like that, but I'm never gonna make $1 million on that, and I know that. So what can you continue to do to show up where people need you, or it's the next new exciting thing? Because especially with a handmade good, people just want what's fun and in season right now, and to support you. So a lot of my friends or family were going to be buying masks, so they bought them from me instead of Walmart, which people, as much as you can buy local, can you just do that? Gosh. But anyway, so I think shifting priorities can just have such an impact, because you're where people need you at that time, and you're bringing them something that's fun or custom or just super relevant in that moment, and you just have to be ready to shift and adapt. And I think this year has taught us that more than anything. So
a couple things you mentioned that I thought were pretty interesting was when you said that you didn't know how long the mask thing was going to last. And I think that applies to a lot of different things in business, because there's all these new trends and fads or whatever. And people who are looking at these opportunities, they're either looking at them as if oh, this is not going to last very long, I won't have enough time. Or they're looking at it as well, this is where the consumer is now, so that's where I need to be now. And if they change, I'll just change with them. So I think that's a really good kind of mindset to have when you're looking at new opportunities.
Yeah. Yes.
And then the other thing was the customization thing. I think it's really helpful to separate yourself from others when people can have involvement in what the product is and have that option to customize it. And that'll be interesting to see how that goes forward with your website and how you're able to kind of incorporate some of that into that. What do you personally do to ensure that you are shifting your priorities in the right direction?
So I think, personally, I follow a lot of other accounts or small businesses or, current events, honestly. But, make sure you're up to date with, what's going on with other businesses, especially ones in the same market as you. You can kind of start to predict trends from bigger companies. So if I go to Petco and I see something different, or I don't know, fringe on a bandana, or this new pom-pom trend on bandanas has started. Okay, well, I can see that at Petco and be like, oh, that's going to be something that I should maybe look into doing. So I just kind of try to stay updated with, your market as a whole and what what new things are emerging. Cause like I said, I think, the success of businesses is like being that new item or just something basic like everybody's gonna need. Like, Dawn soap is never has to be like, oh, we need to change our packaging. Like they'll do it because they think it'll help. But like we're gonna need soap forever. So, people don't need my bandanas. So I need to make them more enticing by being new and improved or something different about them or things like that. So yeah, I just follow lots of other accounts and kind of my main like pet stores, things like that.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
So the next question is a lengthy one, so I'm going to just read it straight off.
Okay.
So I know you're a firm believer that you need to be what your clients need in order to thrive, but you also believe that staying true to yourself is essential for business. So how do you find a balance between these two things to ensure that you're being what your clients need while also staying true to yourself?
Yes, that is definitely a good question. And I believe, like you need to kind of pick those things that define you and then figure out when you're adding new products or new, it's like services. Like if you're not a company that is making products, if you're something like so anyway, like pick those things that you like want to stay true to. And when they stray from it, tell yourself to stop or figure out how to bring it back. So the masks were hard for me. And to be honest with you, I'm on the 5th iteration of the mask because I didn't know how to make a mask, so I followed templates. And then like my first group of people that tried them on were like, oh, this is too tight or this is whatever, so I changed it. And then they're like, oh, this is this. So, like literally this is the 5th iteration and people seem to be happy with it now. And, but through that whole time, I stayed true to myself of like, I'm going to be what they need and how they need it. And also doing that research on the back end. So I noticed, a lot of the masks were coming now with like this adjuster on the elastics. And I was like, okay, this is perfect because half of the people tell me they're too loose and half of the people tell me they're too tight and whatever. And that's fine because everybody has a different face. And it's okay to get like frustrated for a minute and be like, ugh, but like if people are taking the time to give you feedback and things like that, they care enough to try to help you make it better. So I think that kind of strayed from the original question, but I guess, I always go back to like, is this what I want to be doing, especially if it's your side business. And like, to be honest with you, I'm not making a ton on Wild Rue. I'm having fun. So like the masks aren't super fun to me, but I know that that'll be a short-term thing. I hope. But I did it because I knew there'd be money and I was right. Like I made the most money I've ever had this year because I was slanging masks, like changing them.
Mask for you.
Yeah, exactly. It's like people bought like 10 masks from me. They don't need it. They just want it now. Like they just saw a new fabric and they're like, oh, I want dinosaurs, because like other businesses don't have dinosaurs. So anyway, I guess making sure you're seeing what your clients need, but like I would always ground yourself in those like the main things that are important to you. So for me, is it going to make me money? Is it going to bring me joy? And is it something that people need / is fun for them?
Yeah, that's really.
So if something doesn't fit in with that, get rid of it. It's done. Kill that idea and move along.
Exactly.
Life's too short to do stuff you don't want to do.
And okay, so I do like how you said the masks. Like it's not fun for you, but it's going to be a short-term thing, and you're not only making money from selling the masks, but you're also like introducing new people to your business that you can hopefully maybe sell pet stuff to them in the future. So
yes, and it's like that's been 100% it because I probably sound a little contradictory, but like. The masks aren't super fun. They're not my favorite product to make, but it is super fun for me to see people buy a matching mask I've made entire families outfits. Like, mom and dad have a mask. 3 kids have the masks. The dog and the cat each have the same mask, and they all are wearing buffalo plaid and put a picture on Christmas. Like, that's amazing. And shout out to my friend Cassie, who was the first one to do the whole matching their pet craze, and that's been like a very hot seller. A lot of people like to match their cats or dogs with their masks. So
I can see that.
That's been fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
And then, like you said, introducing new people to my brand, or every time somebody gives a mask to people for Christmas this year, they got like a little thing about Wild Rue and a slip. I saw this post the other day that was like, people on Etsy are so extra. You open your package and you get like stickers and glitter and like a handwritten note. And I was like, yes, every one of my orders comes with erasers because they're my favorite little things. And yeah, it's just fun. So anyway.
Cool. Well, I can tell you, when I ordered a couple masks from you, I opened the box when my girlfriend was next to me, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, those erasers are so cute."
See? People love them.
Yeah, I guess so. So for those people who are listening right now who have a small business, or they're thinking about starting a small business, and they feel like they need to adapt to meet the needs of the customers, what would you suggest as a first step to start making that change?
Yeah. So I think, honestly, trying something is the first thing I'd say. I made a ton of bandanas and I sold a ton, and people are like, "Oh, you should change this a little or do this a little or whatever." And like, it's really hard for people to react to stuff without any like product or example, in my personal opinion. So, not in COVID times, but if you've made a product, have your friends and family over and have them actually use it the way it's meant to be. Or if you're making masks or something like that, give them away and get feedback on your product and things like that, because those are the people that will be like super happy to be involved. And they're probably like your A1 day ones, like my besties aren't afraid to be like, "Lindsey, this mask is too tight." But some random person that I sold to that I don't know isn't going to give me that valuable feedback. So I think, try is my first way. Do something scary, like sign up for a craft fair that you've never done before or whatever it is. But, it's really just about putting something out there, seeing how people react, and then changing it from there. And like I said, continue to try to predict what might happen and watch your competitors and your market as a whole to see what it's doing, so that you can be there with like the new hot thing. Like, how fast was it that we had like shirts of the fly on Mike Pence's head? You know what I mean? Like that, there's so many small businesses that like that night designed a t-shirt and we're selling it the next day. Like, if you have that opportunity or availability and you're making like products like that, do it. Like, if there's a current event, do it. I got like this woman I know, she sold, I bought this like file type from her. We haven't even like tapped into one of the things I do with my business with customization, like name customizations. And I have like, you can order like a ton of custom products and stuff from me. And, she made this like Santa, and it said like, "There's some hoes in this house," from the song WAP, but like it's Santa and there's hoes in the house. So like, and I'm sure it's been a hot seller, Yeah. So anyway, that's, I guess what I'd say.
No, that's actually really good. I mean, you were very like straightforward with it, like trying and like making adjustments. Like, those two things are actually like very vital to anybody who wants to start a business, because who knows, maybe some Timmy out there is listening and he's working some job where that he doesn't like, whatever that is, but he's never tried doing any sorts of crafts before of any sorts, whatever. And if he goes, maybe tries it, maybe he's supposed to be the next My Pillow person or
Right.
whatever. Like,
Yeah.
you never know
You don't.
unless you try. So trying is really important, and then being able to take that like constructive criticism and actually
Yeah.
make adjustments. So
Yeah, I think, there'll always be a few people at least that will support you. Like I know forever that there's like 10 people in my life that will always buy or try my products. And if whoever's listening to this doesn't have one person in their life that wants to try and buy their products, call me. Like I will put it out there and somebody will. It's crazy when you start a business, the people that like come out of the woodworks from your past that are like, I want to support you. And you're like, thank you. So try.
Yeah, that was a very like defensive thank you. Okay. That was fun. So we're going to do the Fast 5 sections. So it can be fast, or most of the time it's not so fast, but it's called the Fast 5. So it can be 5 questions, then you'll just answer them. So what's the most valuable learning experience that you've had?
I think we'll keep it business related. The most valuable learning experience is really like the first round of negative feedback I got on my masks. So it's, like we said, it's not super easy to take criticism all the time, but you got to take it. And it was stressful. I was like, because I'd already sold a bunch. And then I got some feedback about how to change them. And then I did. And then you meet your customers and you're like, hey, are you unsatisfied? If you are, let me know and I'll fix it. So yeah, that's what
Awesome.
I'd say.
Cool. I don't know if you're a big reader or not, but if you're not, you can just maybe name a source of information somewhere. But what is one book that you would recommend?
I am not a reader, but actually, the books I like is Harry Potter. So
okay.
I know that doesn't have anything to do with business, but
that's fine.
I loved the Harry Potter series. I'm a Harry Potter girl.
Awesome. So what is one business tool that you would recommend?
Oof. Okay. So totally depends on your level. My business is thriving through Excel. I love Excel, and especially with my career, I use data analytics and numbers a lot. So Excel has been my favorite program forever. If you're going to manage a ton of social, definitely something like Hootsuite or something like that. But it's really interesting. On Instagram, you'll get a lot more likes and interactions with specific posts. But on Facebook, you'll get more total follower or likers or whatever, likes. So very interesting. But definitely you got to be on both and get the Facebook business account and all that. So. But Excel's my favorite for tracking everything.
Awesome. Yeah, I like using Excel for a lot of that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
It comes naturally, it feels home.
Yeah, it does. Just safe.
So how do you go about scheduling your time and planning ahead? Yeah.
So this is hard sometimes, but it's been better, especially now that I work from home 100% of the time. But a lot of the times I schedule by, how much, this sounds dumb, but like however much work there is, that's how much I need to do that night, which sounds silly, but it's like the way that, since my products are all custom, unless you're buying something that's already pre-made, I have like a 2-week turnaround. So with my Excel, I track, the due dates, and then I do however many orders a day to stay up with those due dates or ahead of it, So that gives you the flexibility to take the breaks when you need it. Like during the holiday season, I got really, like right now I'm on a Wild Rue break while I work on my website, but
nice.
Figure out how to schedule, and especially if you're a small business, don't be afraid to tell people how long it's really going to take, because sure, you might miss out on a couple orders. Yeah, like this woman emailed me on the 23rd and wanted it the next day, and I was like, no, I can't. I don't have product inventory and whatever, and then stay true to that, because you will go crazy if you try to like accommodate everybody and everything. So
yes. That's very well put.
Figure out how much time you have and then stay to that, I guess, is kind of what I mean. But yeah.
And you're not alone not being super like strict on your like scheduling or whatever, because like a lot of the people that I've had on the podcast like have even been like, I don't like some people are like, you can't see what's going to happen more than 2 days in advance. So I don't look that far ahead.
Right. You never know.
Yeah. All right. So before I ask my last question, I'll have you kind of share where everybody can find you and Wild Rue.
Perfect. So right now I'm working on my site. I've only taken orders through Instagram and Facebook thus far through messaging. So right now you can find me on Instagram at Wild and Rue. And then on Facebook, I'm Wild &Rue. And then my website will be wildandrue.com. So hopefully that'll be up soon, and you can see some of the other products that we didn't talk about today, like baby bibs are my other favorite thing to make, and some more of my custom products and things like that.
Yeah, cool. And I think that your website, I think it will be live by the time this episode is out there, because it'll be maybe 4 to 6 weeks. So
perfect. Yep.
So everybody can go check that out. Yeah.
If I'm not done, then that'll be a good kick in the pants.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So my last question here is, let's see. I'll have you just provide one main takeaway for everyone listening that you want everybody listening right now to kind of walk away thinking about.
Yeah. I think what I'd say is, if you've been thinking about doing something, just try it. And I know that I said that a lot now, but, try and see how people react and see how it makes you feel, and pay attention to those things, because I feel excited and happy when I'm working on Wild Rue things. And I think there's more people out there that will support you than you might think. And especially in this time where people are trying to support small and support local. And even if your goal in the end is to be a billionaire, that's fine. Like, that's my goal too, obviously. But like, probably not going to happen with dog band, so that's fine. But like, it's just this mentality of always adjusting and not being afraid to take a risk. And we've been told that, you're told a lot in your life that like things could be better, or you could do this better, or whatever. And like, the fact of the matter is, we're really smart people, and we're an adaptable. I think, we've proven this year that we can adapt to most all situations and still live, the majority. So just try and adapt and continue to be open-minded and work hard. I'm a hard worker, so.
I really like that main takeaway. That was awesome.
Good.
Well, it was great having you on the podcast, and I'm sure everybody listening will enjoy this, and I encourage them to go check out your website.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Well, guys, that wraps it up for this episode. I am really glad I was able to share Lindsey's story with you guys. Thanks again for being on the show, Lindsey. And thanks to everyone listening right now. I truly appreciate your support on this journey. You listening to this podcast means the world to me, and I hope that you continue to find enjoyment in this, and I hope that you are able to share it with a friend. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to hear more amazing entrepreneurial stories and advice. I also encourage you to go check out my website, studentbuiltstartups.com. Thanks again, and I will catch you on the next episode.